set up a community, how to set up an activity, how you can manage those activities. But I'll leave Ryan to go through all of that. Ryan is the customer manager for Playways, and I'll hand over to him.
Thanks, Lewis. Hi, everyone. Yeah, just to build a little more on what to expect from the session, I'll cover a couple of ways that your communities can be created slash added on Playways. I'll go through some of um, the general areas of the system, the ones that you'll find the most benefit from. If there's time at the end, more than happy to answer any questions if anyone's got them. Lewis, if you think there's anything useful to add as we go, feel free to kind of interrupt, ask me to build on a few bits. And then we've got a dedicated time, I believe it's on Wednesday, for half specific setup. So I'll go through kind of a generalized overview today. And if there's anything specific, more than happy to answer that either at the end of the call or on Wednesday. So I'll share my screen quickly, and I will start with an invitation to administer on Playways. So there's two ways that you can be invited to the system as a provider. So Lewis or Rob can invite you to the system. So I'll show you what an invite will look like. And what they've done when they send you an invite that looks similar to this, some of your provider information for you. So you'll be sent an invitation. What we've done behind the scenes is we've added a provider email address for yourself. We've labeled your or named your community, and then we've sent you an invite to come and take ownership of that. As soon as you follow the invitation, you'll be asked to create a Playways account. And then once you've done that, you'll sit on a community homepage, which I'll show you on a test site in a moment. And from that point forward, you're then able to manage and create your sessions on Playways. As soon as you've created a session, they automatically show on the relevant activity finders that you're trying to publish or promote your activities to. So there's a live longer, better activity finder, and there's a half activity finder. The half activity finder will be hidden until launch for Easter, I believe. But what you'll be able to do in the meantime is to take ownership of your profile, set your sessions up. As soon as you've created a session, they are hidden, so you've got time to check those over. If you've got any questions or queries, I'm sure myself, Rob, or Lewis can take a look at your sessions as well. There is a community create flow as well, which anyone who organically comes through Playways can follow. We can provide you, or Active Cornwall can provide you, a specific link that will let you create a community or a profile within the Active Cornwall network. It's really important that your community sits within the network because you get all the additional benefits from the activity subscriptions that they license. The system has additional features such as analytics, etc., which you'll have access to, and I'll go through those quickly. So if you follow a specific link, you'll be redirected to a similar create flow. So again, we might ask you to make a Playways account before you do so. But what we're asking you to do in short is to set up your provider profile. So I'll ask you first of all which type of sport and activity that you deliver. So there should be a whole list of options here. If you type the sort of activity that you're looking to deliver, so if you're delivering sessions for yoga, then you can select yoga. You can select a number of activity types that apply here. So there's hundreds and hundreds in this list. Select the ones that are most appropriate, and then I'll start moving through the flow. We'll ask you to name your community in a moment. We'll ask what you're looking to organise on Playways. So most of you, or if not all of you, will just select activity sessions and classes. Then we'll take you through the name of the organization, club or business. So this is what you want to call your provider profile. It's most likely going to be your business name. And then we'll ask you to select the location from a Google map, a map search. So this will be the main location that either your office is operating out of, or your most common location. Whenever you set up a session on Playwaze, you can select a specific location for that class. So you'll tell everyone specifically where that class is. If you're just in a general area, if you search for the location, and apologies, the system might be a little slow because it is on a demo site, but you can search for a location that fits, and then we'll set up your provider profile, and this potentially can be found on Playwaze and on some Playwaze searches as well. So we'll ask for a provider description, so you might give a summary of what you do and who you are. I'm not going to do that on the call. And then we'll ask for a contact email address. So the contact email address is probably one of the most important addresses to provide here. So we'll, by default, unless you tell us otherwise, we'll provide this contact email address to anyone who makes a booking. If anyone's looking at your provider profile and they've got an inquiry, this is the inquiries address that we would ask you to pop in here. So this might be your info at address. And then again, you've got additional options to pop in a contact phone number and a website URL as well. You can, and I'll show you, you can come back and you can manage any of this information once you've created your community. If you've been invited, so the invite that you saw prior, this information you can again come and add after. You're given the option to select a logo and a banner, so you can quickly do that, and then we'll set your profile up. So as soon as you've done that, you'll have a community that looks similar to this. I'm just going to switch to another demo community. The most important thing to check when you do create a community, if you're using a specific link or if you've accepted an invite, is that you have the active Cornwall network seen at the bottom of the admin toolbar. So you'll see that this is a Playwaze demo link, but the providers in active Cornwall will have an active Cornwall link there. That's the easiest way of making sure that you're sat within the active Cornwall network. This lets you choose and select all the active Cornwall forms that they've set up, etc. So I'm just going to change again. I'll show you a live example. So you'll see here that the active Cornwall network is nicely linked. When you come and create sessions and activities, you'll have access to all the forms and all the features that you need to deliver. So as soon as you've created the community, you have an option to check the information here. If you then need to update or change any of the information you provided, behind the settings, you've got general settings. As soon as you click on that, we'll load the community edit. So similar to the create, we'll have all the fields that you've previously completed. There's a few extra options in here, like Facebook, Instagram, X, some of your socials if you'd like to add them. Again, you can come and change your logo and your banner, etc. It might be worth to look at some of the other. No, it's not worth checking any of the other editable fields. You can take a look. You do want to leave your community's privacy as public, etc. That will mean that you can show on the activity finders. So yeah, check the edit, and then you should hopefully have the community that you need. As soon as you've done this, if you wanted to, you would be ready to come and create a session. So sessions or activities will show on our session/activity finders. The sessions are the features that will let you take bookings, mark registers, etc. I can see a hand raised. Do you want me to answer a question quickly?
Sorry, my microphone. Yeah, but I have a feeling that you might answer in a minute. It's just in the description.
Yeah.
Will we have the opportunity after to write what we offer on which day, or do we have to write it all down in the description?
No, so the provider or the community description is a really good summary of who you are and what you're delivering as a business or a provider. Each activity will additionally have an option to add a description, and this is where we'd recommend that you describe what the session has to offer. If you have specific venue information, such as instructions for parents or people to park, etc., you can add
Yeah.
hyperlinks to your own website if you've got supporting information, etc. So the session creator will give you an opportunity to do that as well.
So for example, we do sessions. Sometimes we do at our venue, and most of the time we try to take the children and their families, because we offer for families as well, to other venues. So we'll have the opportunity to put the location on each activity, or because the location changes for us, or do we just
Yeah.
write it down in description, or?
So you'd be able to set the location of your session when you create that, depending on quite your setup, and we can, I'm more than happy to take a look after the call if you do need more help. You would decide whether to create multiple sessions with different locations, or if you would add that description in the text so parents would be aware of what you're planning. But we'd be able to advise you on what's best.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that's great.
Cool.
Okay, yeah, that's
So
cool. Thank you.
no problem. So the dashboard generally, I'll take you through just to summarize some of the recent changes and some of the helpful features. So as soon as you've created sessions, they'll show on the dashboard now. So there aren't any active sessions in this example, but if you've got sessions that you've run previously, they'll start to filter between the active and the archived tabs. So we'll show the activities for you. As soon as you've got those, you can then open your sessions to start managing them. If you need to create more sessions, again, behind the create new, you have the session option. You've then got a few helpful areas on the system. So you've got a members area. So as soon as you've created your community, if you've got colleagues that you also want to give admin permissions, you're able to click on the members section, click on the little settings cog, and as long as the colleague has joined your community, you'll be able to search for their name. If you click on the toggle here, for example, if I clicked on Aaron Dunn, this would create them as a community admin. So this would give them also the ability to create sessions, pull exports, view your analytic dashboards, etc. So generally speaking, this is a really good area to come to. You can invite people directly to the community. So you've got an invite members option, an add members option, and the Playwaze search generally, if people are searching for your community name, should also show your profile. So there's a number of ways of getting people to join as soon as you've done so. You can give them permissions. The sessions themselves do allow you to set session organizers. So session organizers, I'm just going to change tab quickly. Session organizers is an optional level of permissions that you can set to any team member who you don't want to create or you don't want to give admin permissions, but you can let them mark the register for that specific session or activity. So you might not want to give them complete access to your profile, especially if you're taking payments, etc. You can make them a session organizer, and you can select any member, and that will allow them to mark the register, add and manage bookings. So generally speaking, if you're planning to take payments using the booking system, we'll ask you to connect with Stripe. It should be quick and easy to do. I can't actually demo the Stripe connection in a test example, but what we'll ask you to do once you click connect with Stripe, we'll redirect you to Stripe. They'll ask you to create or log into your account. I think it's a couple of clicks after that. There is Stripe support, and we're more than happy to help if you do have any issues. But as soon as you've followed the flow, you'll then be connected to the payments dashboard. We'll connect your account, and you'll be able to select that on Playways when you're setting up an activity or a session with a price. You've then got a few quick management options or a few options for management of your provider account here. So not everyone will have the same features enabled, but you will generally have sessions enabled. You'll have a news feature which lets you message all of your members. So if you've got people that have booked before, you can create a news post. So Playwaze will allow you to send an email with a title, an image, and a description / a body of a text to any member of your community. So you can choose whether you'd like to send them an email. Additionally, if you don't have email ticked, we'll send them a feed post or a notification on Playwaze, which they can view from the web or the app. But this is a really good idea to let people know that your classes are open again. If you've got an important update about yourself, etc., then you can pop that on here, and it acts as a bit of a CRM system for you to reach all the members that have engaged previously. You've then got the forms feature, so I might touch on this after an activity create, but you can use the activity feature to collect custom information. So the active Cornwall community already has a LLB and a HAF form set up for you, which has lots of helpful information that we'll collect from users as they book. You can additionally then take a copy of that form and add some extra fields. So if you need someone to sign a disclaimer, provide some additional contact information, etc., that's not collected in the forms, then you've got also the opportunity to do that here. You can add eligibility rules such as certain age ranges or requirements to book. So I'll come back to the forms feature, but you will have access to that. Again, there's a discount section, so this I believe will show the HAF rule. Just going to see if I can find a live example for you. So there's a discount section that you can use. So when you're creating tiered pricing in the session create, if for example you're taking HAF bookings, you'll be able to select the free school meals eligibility form. This will make sure that someone has provided a valid code when they book. If they do, then they'll be eligible for the discounted price for your session, which for the HAF sessions would be free. We'll cover that more specifically on Wednesday. I don't believe it's being used at this point in LLB. Do you know if Rob's using that, Lewis, or not?
Not to my knowledge at this moment.
Yeah, I'll cover that more on Wednesday then. You've also got the option to create and manage venues. So anytime you create a session on Playwaze, we'll give you the opportunity to select a location. You do have the opportunity to select existing venues. So if you'd like, you can create venues on Playwaze. There is a slightly extended create flow for venues versus location. So in the session create, we'll ask you just to select your location. So you'll be able to select from the list or from a Google Map search, but you can additionally in venue create go into some extra detail to show you what that looks like in a moment. So once you've selected your location, we'll give you the opportunity to select one that already exists. Most of the time you'll skip and you'll create your own venue, so you'll be able to give the venue a name. So if you're running out a specific sports hall location, you'll see the Google Map location that you selected, and then you can come and give a venue name. You can add some additional information if you like to the type of venue, a description, etc. This information isn't mandatory to create a session. Every booking confirmation on Playways will share the venue name and the location, which is why the session create has the location select, but you can add a little bit more information in your venue area if you'd like. So it's worth potentially checking the venues that you've selected. And then you've got the option to select existing venues when you create an activity or to create a new one. If you've got lots of activities created, you do have the option to view and share an activity calendar. So this test example doesn't actually have any activities, but what we'll do is we'll show you the classes that you've created and the schedule at which they run. So you've got an option to preview what your calendar looks like, and you've got a manage website integration tool in here as well. So if you have dates in your calendar, there's a short snippet of code that you can share if you'd like. All of your sessions will show on the activity finders anyway, but you do have an option to view and preview the calendars that you've created and you've set up. And then there's a few options in reporting that will be worth taking a look at. So if you download any exports on Playwaze, we'll collate all of these for you in a helpful downloads page. So as soon as you've pulled an activity register, a custom report, or any kind of session summary from your sessions dashboard, we'll show them all in the downloads page. They'll process and then you can retrieve those. So if you need to keep a hard copy of those, then the managed downloads is the best place to visit. The managed downloads will show all the downloads in your community. So if you've got other team members who are pulling exports as well and they're admins, the downloads page will show you all of these. So you do get an option to name the download when you pull one. So it's a good tip to try and keep the naming clear and obvious. Otherwise, the downloads page starts to get a little confusing. You've then got a sessions dashboard. So this is helpful if you've got booking queries. So the sessions report or the sessions dashboard here will give you an ability to filter by all your sessions. So you can filter by the dates that they're running, the organizer of the class, etc. And then you can export all of this information. If you've got bookings that you've taken as well, you'll be able to search through the bookings. So if you've got a parent who's been in touch, you can search for the name of the child or the name of the user who's booked, and we'll bring up a summary of the sessions they've booked, the dates and their statuses. So you'll be able to see if they booked, if they're cancelled, etc. So there's some really helpful information in the view here. And then you've got an opportunity to view custom exports. So the custom exports have ever so slightly different exports to the sessions dashboard and any register that you pull. So it's worth potentially checking out all the different exports to see exactly what type of information they include. But generally speaking, the activity reporting export, so click on the tile and click export, is a really handy one to take. This will include information on who's booked, who's attended, who's cancelled, and it should also then reference the activity name. So as soon as you want to pull an export, if you give that a name, we'll then start the download for you as soon as the system has prepared the export. If there are a number of exports being taken at any one time, you might have your download queued. As soon as the export's ready, you can then come and download the export by clicking the little green icon. If you no longer need the export, then you can click the bin and you can start to clean up the downloads page. The communities in Active Cornwall will additionally have access to an analytics dashboard. So this is a really useful tool to come and check after your sessions have taken place. So we've got an analytics tool for you. So this will give you a breakdown of some of the booking information that we've taken. So as soon as you select the type of analytics that you'd like to see, members or bookings will be the two that that you will have access to will then redirect you to Elastic. So this is a third-party tool that we use to display the dashboards. Select login with Playwaze, and then we'll show you a dashboard view of all the information that we've collected. So if this example works, hopefully there'll be some useful information to share. So this will collate or combine roughly the demographic information that we have on the members, if they've answered some questions, etc. when booking. We'll try and show that in this dashboard. So the top part of the solution contains filters, etc. And then we try and give a summary of some of the graphs based on the users and the filters that have been selected above. So let me just have a look. So this is a member summary of everyone who's booked with this provider. For example, you can see a breakdown of the ages, the genders, etc. I haven't gone specifically on the bookings dashboard, but the booking overview will be the most relevant one. I just don't have a live example to show you, so it'll be worth checking that out once you've started taking bookings. If you're delivering over Easter for half, then you can come and define the Easter period and take a look at the types of users that have booked, etc. So I'll go back to the dashboard, and I'll probably quickly run through a session create. Is there anything specifically that you want me to touch on kind of in the communities, Lewis, so far?
Sorry, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we use another system as well as Playwaze. Well, it will be our first time on Playwaze.
Okay.
And which is called Charity Log. So we log in all our participants and stuff.
Yeah.
And we've got all their database. Like it's quite in depth. Like we've got their national insurance numbers and stuff. If they are repeated users, if they are. Will I be able to upload my reports from there for you to turn them into reports for you to use, or that will be out of the question? I just need to use the Playways data.
No, so the Playways system will ask any user who books to create an account. When they book, we'll ask them to complete a booking form. So I'll show you an example of that, and we'll then collect all the information and send that to our analytics views. Our registers and our reports will have all of that information for you to hand when you come to download those. Anyone who has or who is on your other system, when they come to book with Playways, we'll ask them to make their own account. We'll collect their information and we'll show that in the registers, but they don't unfortunately link.
Right. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. So I'll go through a session create quickly, and I'll cover kind of the headline options. So as soon as you click create sessions, if you've created one before, this is a recently updated view. All of your communities will say that you have the plan payments plus. This page really you can just continue past. It gives you a summary of what you can do during the create, and I'll take you through that now. So as soon as you start on the activity create, we'll ask you to set an activity name and a description. So the activity name is what is shown on our activity finders, any public pages, and on booking confirmations as well. So you would pop the name on the activity here. And then you've got an option to describe the activity. So as we suggested earlier, you can describe what the day entails. You can pop in hyperlinks to your own website, etc. You can add specific venue information. The session names and the descriptions alongside the images can be a really useful way of promoting your sessions. So you will have parents, carers, users who are looking to book sessions on the activity finders who are browsing what's on offer. So If you've got useful information that will help people book, then pop that in here. That's the best place to do so. We'll then also share the description on the booking confirmation. You've then got an option to use a saved location or add a location from Google Maps. So similar to what we showed in the venue create. I don't know any venues in Cornwall, but if you've got a specific location in Cornwall that you're operating from, if it's listed on Google Maps, it should show here. I'm just going to select my local leisure centre. And then as soon as you continue through the create, we'll create that venue for you. If you've already created venues, you'll have a list of those. So you'll see that I've used that before. You can select the venue and continue through the flow. We've added time zones to the activity options. So if you are creating sessions abroad, and we have seen this on occasion, and you're in a different time zone, then you'll want to change the time zone back to the time zone that the activity is taking place. So by default, we'll select the time zone that you're in. So if you're creating sessions in the UK and you're in the UK, then you can just continue. But if you're in Spain, for example, you would want to then bring that back to the correct time zone. And then we'll ask you the type of session. So by default, we'll select the session type that your community is created under. You can then select different activity types. So if you don't have one you need, you can just select activity holiday camp. So sometimes there can be a number of different types of activities, and we'll show that roughly when we're on or when we're displaying your activities on the search or the finders. You can select more than one activity type as well. If there's more than one, we'll then make sure that they can all be filtered in the search. You'll then ask for some
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
We are slightly different. We are a registered charity, and it will only, the activities that we will be offering are just for our members. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There is additional eligibility that we can add through the forms. I think because that's probably quite a specific use case.
Yes.
If you hang on till the end of the call, if there's time, I'll either catch up with you specifically,
okay.
or we can find a time to catch up, and we can run through how that will look.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yes, thank you.
Lewis, have you got your hand up?
Yeah, I've got just a question which is linked back to time zones. Will time zones auto track daylight savings times, etc.?
Yes, we are yet to cross over to a new one. So the team have prepared for that. It should select the time zone that you're in. So the sessions will automatically change based on the time zone. Cool. The next option is to set age range. So at this point, the age range is just for display. So in the forms feature, you can set specific rules on ages or date of births. Here you can indicate who the session's suitable for. So if you're running sessions that are 55 plus, then you can set that the age range is from 55 all the way up to either unlimited if you set no age. Or you can set a max age as well as to who your sessions are suitable for. And again, you've got an ability level. So if you're running classes that are for beginners only, then you can select beginners. Playwaze as a booking system does have a lot of sport providers on here, which is why we have advanced, intermediate, beginner sessions. So if they're not applicable, then you can just leave that as all levels. And again, if you're running male or female only sessions, then you can select those here as well. So most people will leave that open to all genders. And then there is a list of accessibility tags that you can add on to your activity. So if your sessions are suitable for any of these options, and you can select as many of those as you'd like, and we'll then look to display that on the activity or the session as well. So go through the audience options, select everything that applies, and then you can quickly continue. Again, you can add images to your activities, so you can add I'm just going to see if I've got one on hand. So you can add a number of images, and we'll show those for you on the activity finder displays. You can also add a short video. So if you've got promotional content, you can then also drag and drop that or upload that on the activity here, and we'll show that on our searches before we show your images. So you've got an opportunity to improve the promotion of your activities there as well.
Tony, can you put the top button on?
The top of it,
Yeah.
You can then select organisers of your activity. So anyone who's a member, you can select as an organizer. So this would be a really useful setting or tool for anyone that you don't want to create or give permissions to be a provider admin or a community admin, as we would call them on Playwaze. So you can select and search any user that exists. As soon as you select them, when the activity is created, they can then come and manage the activity, take the register, etc. You've then got contact email, contact phone, and website, which you may have already given. If you've given it to us before, we'll bring that through for you, and then you can change this per session as well if you need to. So you might have a different contact email for the member of the team that's running the specific session. And then we come to scheduling. So generally speaking, we'll ask you to set a limit to how many bookings you can take. So if you can take 20 places per day, then you would set 20 here. If you've got different capacities on different days, then you can edit each individual date after you've created the session. Will take you to a management page where you can change the capacity, reschedule certain days, cancel and delete sessions. If you do have varying capacities, we'd probably suggest always picking the lowest or the smallest size here, just in case you then forget to reduce the size. This will prevent overbooking. So if you take 10 bookings on some days and on other days you take 20, then I'd recommend you pop 10 in here, and then you increase the capacity after the create. Then we've got an option for what previously was called block bookings, but do you require booking for all dates? Most of you will probably not use this option. As soon as you check this option, what we ask you to create is a block of sessions. So this is helpful if you're running courses, or if parents or users need to attend more than one day in order to book. So if you're running a class that runs on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, and attendance is mandatory on all 3 days in order to book, then you would tick the require booking options. If you're running a class across the week, and parents or users can choose the dates that they'd like to attend, then you wouldn't want to tick that option. You will create your session, and when anyone's booking, they'll choose which dates that they can attend in the booking flow. So just going to schedule a quick session here. So the first option in the schedule create, and this can sometimes be a little tricky. So there is a supporting help article that we can share. I'll make sure that you've got the contact details for support, and you'll have Rob and Lewis at Active Cornwall on hand if you do need a hand. But generally speaking, if you're having trouble with your series, we can help you schedule that. We'll ask you to select the first date at which your session runs, the start and the end time. So what we'll do once you tell us how long your session's running for, or when your session runs, is we'll determine the duration. So one activity series or one session series can only have one duration. So if your activities run for 6 hours, then all the sessions in this series will need to run for 6 hours. If you have sessions of differing lengths, they will need to be created as separate sessions. So some providers will have morning sessions that only run for 3 hours and afternoon sessions that run for 4. So in that case, you would need to create a morning and an afternoon session. So you'd go through the create twice. You can create multiple schedules, and you can create schedules that run across many days. So I'll show you how to do that. But if you do need different length of times for the sessions to run, that is the one of the only times you'll need to create a second series or a second session. So you'll tell the system when your activity starts and ends, and you'll say how often the session repeats. So if you're running a weekly session, and that's running across weekly session, and that's running across Monday to Friday, you'll select that you would like a weekly session Monday to Friday starting on the 2nd, and then the schedule will update for you. So we'll try and give you a summary of what your session will look like. So it's worth taking a look at the preview. If the sessions or the preview's not quite looking as you'd like, then you've got an opportunity to change that here. You can make changes and edits after the create as well, so you can cancel and delete certain dates. We'll ask you how often your sessions repeat. So if your sessions repeat every week, you would select 1. If your sessions repeat bi-weekly, you would select 2. Most sessions will run in a weekly occurrence. If you need them to run daily, including Saturday and Sunday, select daily. And then you've got the monthly option as well. So there are many types of schedules, but the most common one that we see will generally be weekly repeating schedules. We'll cover a specific Easter schedule for half sessions on Wednesday, because we can recommend exactly how you might do that. But in this example, you'll say when your session starts. If your session has an end date as well, so if your sessions run till the end of April, then you can select an end date for you and click continue, and the system will then look to create that schedule for you. We then move on to some of the other additional features that come with activities. So you can open and close your booking. So if you are delivering Live Longer Better, you might decide to prevent people booking so far in advance. So if your sessions run for 3 or 4 months, and someone goes ahead and books all of those dates 4 months in advance, and then their plans change, they don't turn up, etc., you're left with no shows. Do you want me to stop there, Lewis?
Yeah, sorry, I just had another question just come in about, could you show the other 2 options if that's possible?
In the schedule?
I think it was, yes.
Yeah. So
through the daily and the monthly.
So if you select, I'm not sure the schedule will change behind me, but if you select, in fact, let me try. Yeah, if you select monthly, the schedule will then change to run on the 2nd of March every month. And if you select daily, then the session should run every single day, including Saturdays and Sundays. And you'll see, once we create the activity, you'll see all the dates that are created. It's good practice to check all the ones that you've created. If anything doesn't look quite right, if you only need to remove a date or 2, then you can just cancel a date on the manage dashboard, or we'll give you opportunity to come back into the session edit, and we'll give you a similar view to this, whereby you can come and change the schedules or end the schedules. We do have some restrictions around what you can do with scheduling, because making changes to ongoing sessions with bookings has quite a lot of complexity within it, when you need to cancel bookings for users, etc. Pretty much all of the schedules that you'll need to set up, you should be able to do so in the Create. If you've got questions or queries, then we're more than happy to send you examples of exactly what to click and how to set that up. But for the most part, with the schedule Create, you should be able to get what you need. It's hard to cover all the examples right now, but if you've got sessions that run at the same time every week or every couple of weeks, then you can definitely set those up here. If you want to create a second schedule, then you can add that as well. So if you run a session on Wednesdays and that runs at, let's just say, 8 till 9 o'clock, it has to be the same duration actually, sorry. If that runs at, let's change the time now. If that runs at, just do that again. That runs on Wednesdays. And let's just do from 1 o'clock. As long as the session's the same duration, you can set up your repeating weekly session here as well. If that's running on a Wednesday, then we'll add the extra dates into the calendar for you. So you'll see that the 4th or the 3rd has been added in from a 1 till 7, and you'll be able to add a second schedule to the series. As soon as you've done that, we can then, we'll then create the dates for you. Once you complete the flow, you've then got booking windows that you can use to determine who can book and how far in advance and how close to the session they can book. So what you can say for your sessions, if you've created a schedule and they're running, say, 3 months in advance, you can say that bookings open 2 weeks prior to the session date. So this means that no one will be able to book more than 2 weeks in advance. So that gives you an opportunity to stop people booking longer in advance, making other plans, not attending. We do see that as quite a common challenge when providers are delivering with us for free bookings, especially because there's not a cost associated to that class. They're quite commonly forgotten. So you can open booking windows in advance, and you can say that booking's closed 1 day before the session. So if you do need to know the night before who's going to turn up, you can close bookings a day before the session to make sure that you've got enough time to prepare for any equipment that you might need, etc. We then would ask for both deliveries, I believe, you to enable the waiting list. So the waiting list is a really handy option for users to register their interest to a full activity. So if bookings are full, they can join the waiting list. When they're full, we'll give you an opportunity as a provider to notify users when a space becomes available. So if someone cancels a session, the session itself will be available for booking again. So you can, with the waiting list, fill those sessions up. We'll send anyone who's on the waiting list a quick notification to let them know that there is a place, and on a first come first served basis they can then make the booking. As an admin, you can always add users to sessions. So in the management options, you've got an add and invite. You've then got a check-in, check-out option, which is quite useful if you're signing in and out children onto the premises. So we'll allow you to say that a user has arrived and a user has left the site, and we'll stamp the admin that's done that and the date and time at which they've done so. Then you've got an option to use QR codes. So you can send QR codes to participants and scan them on arrival to mark the register. And then you've got the option to show a session on Playways or on open data. So as long as you select Playways, well, actually, regardless of the option you select, we'll show the sessions for you. If you select Playways, we'll make sure you're shown on all the activity finders. And then you've got an option to select a form. So in the active Cornwall example, there will be a form set up called LLB, and there'll be a HAF form. So depending on which type of session you're creating, select the relevant form name that you'd like, and then click continue. This will have slightly different fields, but this will have all the mandatory fields and requirements that someone needs to provide when booking. So they've set, or Active Cornwall will set all of that up for you. So we'll collect all the information, and then you can export this, for example, in the register. So you'll have emergency contact information, booking codes, etc., email addresses when someone books. And then you can create and add your own custom rules. I'm just looking at the time. There might not be enough time to comprehensively cover that in this chat. But again, if anyone needs a specific form or rule added, then we can cover that. You're then asked if your session has a price. So if you're taking free and paid sessions, then you'll need to select paid. You will need to connect to Stripe before you can create your activity. So you can visit the payment section that we showed earlier. And then you've got an option here as to how people can pay. So you'll want to leave pay online on. Pay offline allows you to tag someone as paid. For example, if you're taking cash over the counter, etc., you can also have the offline option on. Most people who are taking bookings with us will pay online. You'll select the payment receiver. In fact, there is a connect with Stripe option. So if you do create a session you haven't connected with Stripe, you should be able to do so in the flow. So we've recently added that. And then we'll ask you to set a price for the activity. If you are offering free bookings only, then you can select free in this option, and there'll be a booking form that will ask for the booking, valid booking code. If you're taking payments, you can select the standard price. And then if you're offering discounts, specifically for HAF, I believe, you'll then be able to find the discount group. So this will say free school meal booking code or similar, and you'll be able to say what that price would be. And potentially, if you've got a maximum number of free places you can take, how many places that you will take bookings for, we'll then add that for you. And you've got the option then to also add add-ons or extras. So some people will offer lunch add-ons, meals, etc. So if you're offering lunch with your sessions, you might have a vegetarian option. You might say that the standard price for lunch is £2. And if you've got a limit to the number of add-ons you can provide, then you can add that as well. If you've added add-ons, you can then also add discounted add-ons. So as soon as I've added lunch here, if I come back to edit the free booking places, I can also then say that lunch as an extra is free as well. And I can add that. So when someone does meet the rules for the free bookings, they'll also be able to add lunch on for free. Not everyone will use that and lunch is included, but if you are looking to take additional information for add-ons, etc., then you can do that there. And then you can finish the activity and we'll create a session for you. So I'm just going to potentially move to one that I've made earlier. In fact, this one will be okay. We then take you to an activity managed view. So this is a really helpful page where most of your activity management will take place. When you're ready to share your activities, you'll be able to unhide the activity. We are about to introduce an update whereby we've got a little bar on the right, and I'll share some further information with you, Lewis, that we can share with providers. In fact, let me see if I've got an example of what that will look like, where we've changed how you can unhide a session, but it's the difference between one button Just going to see if I've got that on another page. No, I'll share it after, but you'll be able to unhide the session when you're ready to take bookings, and that will slightly change shortly. And then you've got kind of an overall managed view here. So check the dates that you've got created. If you'd like to remove a specific date, you've got 3 dots here, so you can change the time of a specific class, the capacity. You can cancel a date, and you can remove a date entirely. So the difference between cancel and remove, if you've got bookings on a date that you cancel, we'll send a cancellation email. You can only remove a date that has no bookings. And then when you do have bookings, you can open each date and we'll give you the opportunity to view a register. So as soon as you have people who have booked, you'll see them show in the register. You can pull an export of the register, and you can add users to the session specifically. So if you've got a parent on the phone and they haven't been able to make a booking, you can create a new user. You'll complete all the customer information on the booking form. We'll check the eligibility for you. You can overrule that if you'd like. In this example, I'll just quickly try and get through, and then you can add them to the session specifically. Select any add-ons that you might have already offered. You can take payments if you need to. So if you are taking payments, or you can skip if you don't need to take payments, and then we'll make the booking for you. The register will update, and this is where you would then be able to mark them as signed in or signed out. This will change based on the session that you're looking at. For each specific user, you then have a management option, so you can cancel their booking. You can come and add or manage their add-ons if you need to. You can message them directly. And if you need to amend any of their booking information, you can then come and add that here as well and make amendments to the booking details that they provided. As soon as you've said the changes, we'll update that. Whenever you pull an export, we'll then include all of that information. I'm conscious of the time, Lewis. Is there anything that you wanted me to cover quickly?
Probably just how to take the registers is probably the next most important thing, and then I can just finish off with a couple of key dates coming up and things like that, really.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if there's any specific questions after this, we'll answer those. So when you're looking at a register, if you tick them as signed in, the system will update. You'll see that the date and the time at which you've done so, and the user updates. You can sign them out as well. If you didn't choose the check-in, check-out or sign in, sign out functionality, then there'll just be one option. As soon as you mark the register, the system behind the scenes will update all the statuses for you. And if I was to then pull this export, this would provide a register in the downloads page of everyone on this date. So if you do need a register for the day, then you can print that off and you can come back to Playwaze and you can update the register at any time. All your activities will show in the dashboard here, so you'll be able to open those. You have a little indication as to whether they're live or not. Is that good, Lewis?
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm just replying back to Ben. Yeah, so Ben, just rather than me typing this out, you've asked around payments over the phone. If you're taking any bookings over the phone and you did the method which Ryan just showed by clicking the add, that's probably the best way. And no, parents wouldn't have to bring cash because you could take that those details over the phone.
Yeah.
It's probably the easiest way to do that. So even if they're on the system, you can do exactly what Ryan's doing there at the moment. Click the next button and then add the payment details if they're willing to give it over the phone. Hope that helps.
Yeah, you do it here. Take.
So great, thanks very much, Ryan. There is one. Emily's got hopefully a quick question because I know we have overrun slightly. You're on mute, Emily.
So we've got some families that are really struggling and they might need us to do the booking for them.
Mhm.
Is that possible? Like if they call us and give us their details, or if we do it online while they're on the phone, can we do that?
So you would use this add function as well. So they would probably give you a new name or a new account, and you'd click create new user. So I've called the person new name, and then the booking form will show. So you'll complete the whole booking form, and
Yeah.
then you need to take payment. You can take payment, but you'll take all the
Okay.
information required, and then by the end of that, we've
Yeah.
created an account. We'll send them an email.
Okay.
And then you've then added them to the booking as well, so they could just then turn up because you've added them.
Okay. And those people who don't have an email address, can I have the confirmation sent to me and then I can
I believe you can add anyone
right.
to this. So you should then be able to add a user. If you can't, I would probably just recommend, if you can't get in touch, but you can add users without email addresses to Playwaze. So we'll come back if you can't do it in that flow, but it should all be within that one flow for you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. That's really useful. Finished.